Alright friends, here we are with another installment of From Russia with Minecraft. We are exactly where I left off because I finished filming the previous video seconds ago. This is level, I want to say this is level 19 of Skycrown. From here you can get to the docking arm that leads to the Aurora. So I'm going to give you a, for lack of a better word, live feed. Actually we're apparently one level too high. So here's the approach to the Aurora. You can get a chance to see it from a distance. You can tell that it's fairly large, but of course as you approach, the scale of it becomes readily apparent. Like for example, the nacelle is absolutely enormous. The nacelle itself, I want to say, is close to 100 meters in length. I might be mistaken. It's been a while since I measured them, but I know that the nacelle is several dozen meters in length. I think it's close to 100. And you can see the various decks, you can see inside. I might actually be able to cover this all in a single video because while the inside is pretty well furnished right now, it's home to 73 sets of crew quarters. The crew quarters are all pretty much the same. Each room consists of a bed, a storage chest, a crafting table, and a nifty little desk where you can sort of, obviously you can't do anything with it, but it is representative of a regular office desk. It's got a potted plant and a bookshelf. The carpeting here by default, I made it blue because it looks nice, it's soothing, it's pretty inoffensive. Of course, if any of my friends decide to settle here, they are free to rip out the carpets and replace them with something else. In fact, if my friends settle here, they can probably settle into the officers' quarters, which I plan on building, which are going to be a lot roomier and have more amenities in them, like ender chests, anvils, etc., etc. Okay, so here is this is deck 5. There are 8 decks total. The decks are numbered 1 through 8, starting with deck 1 at the top and then deck 8 at the very bottom. I will give you a deck by deck walkthrough. These right here, this is the turbo lift. The turbo lifts in the actual Star Trek series are exactly what they suggest. It's a lift, an elevator that goes from one end of the ship to the next. Turbo lifts typically go from top to bottom, bottom to top, but there are also turbo lifts that go across. So for example, you'll have the actual lift go, say, from deck 5 to deck 3, and then along deck 3 it'll go forward. Unfortunately, I don't have the technology in Minecraft to make that happen. The closest I can really do is fill a tunnel with water. This way you can float up and down. It's not the fastest means of transportation, but it's better than ladders in that you can just emerge from it and you're there. Okay, this is the shuttle bay. This is actually deck 4. This is slightly above deck 5. Actually, if you notice, the top part of this is deck 4, and then the bottom, like 2 meters here, are deck 5. This waterfall represents a force field. Force fields in Star Trek are typically invisible to bluish, so I guess it kind of works out. There is also kind of a tarmac here, I guess, and then there's a shuttle. Shuttle is pretty straightforward, boxy, access through the back, and then you've got some chairs and some chests. It's not particularly impressive, but then a lot of the shuttles in the series aren't particularly impressive either, which is probably why they blow up so often. So here we are on deck 4. There are, once again, crew quarters. They're all configured more or less the same way. The positioning of the bed and the various other items may differ, but the general square, like the square meter of the floor, the square footage of the floor. I don't really know that there is an equivalent in meters. The square footage of the floor is about the same. The floor plan is very similar. Usually the bed is facing toward the front, and then you'll have all the other items in opposite corners. A lot of these that are on the edge of the ship have windows, so you can look out, you can enjoy the view. Of course, the ones in the center, needless to say, do not have windows, but that's just life. Okay, this is the main turbo lift. The main turbo lift spans all 8 decks. If you go up to deck 3, you'll notice the interior is quite large and unfurnished for the most part. You'll see the top part of my arboretum and my fungal garden. and you'll see the blue of the secondary deflector dish, and then you'll also see the aft turbo lift that goes between decks 3 and 5. If you go all the way up, this here is deck 2, that's deck 1. Deck 1 is the bridge. Unfortunately, I have not yet built anything on the bridge. I've just built a sunroof, and that's pretty much it. But there'll be the actual, like, the main bridge here with consoles and everything represented by, well, just wooden and stone blocks. There will be a conference room in the captain's ready room, maybe a couple of other amenities, and maybe a little storage facility here in the back. Okay, let's go back down. I'm going to take you all the way down to deck 8. Deck 8 is going to be just primarily a cargo bay. As you see, there are sadly monsters here because I haven't lit it properly. There's going to be a cargo bay here. It'll just be chests and chests of various supplies. I'll leave a few stacks of repair supplies, like just additional stone bricks in case a creeper goes off and some patchwork is needed, and just maybe some food, some gear, etc. Deck 7, I have built up part of the walkway here, the corridor, but there's not really much else. There are going to be a couple of crew quarters, and this here might act as another storage bay or something similar. Deck 7 is actually main engineering. This here is the warp core. Now, in most Star Trek series, the warp core of a Federation ship is usually blue. I could have filled it with water, but I found lava to be the more impressive sight because, well, lava. So here I actually kind of ran out of bricks, so I just didn't stretch it all the way down. But as in most engineering sections on a Starfleet vessel, you have a ladder that goes between the various levels. In this particular instance, the warp core is it's 4 decks high, so it goes from deck 8 to deck 5. So decks 8, 7, 6, and 5 are all the warp core. On larger vessels, as for example on the Enterprise E, the one that features in the newer movies, the warp core is 14 decks. This is the emergency escape. Should you ever feel that you've lived too long, you may fall to your death 110 meters. Quickest way to end your life. This door actually corresponds to it's the counterpart of the other door through which I came in. Of course, on this side there is no docking port and there's no skycraft, so it is somewhat dangerous. Okay, let's go over here. So this is a corridor that leads to the front section of the ship. This is the so-called saucer section. Now, while in a Nova class vessel this is not strictly speaking a saucer, I'm still going to refer to it as saucer section just for simplicity's sake. There are a number of features here. This room, first of all, it never fails to freak me out because the carpet here is green and creepers are green. Every time I walk by this room, I'm always like, oh crap, there's a creeper here and I'm going to blow up. But no, this is actually a school. I haven't furnished it yet, but I'm going to place tables, chairs, various other pieces of furniture here to represent school. You can get actually a very nice view out these windows. You can get a view of Skycrown, you can get a view of the nacelle and the docking port, and you can actually get a view of the side of the ship too, I believe. It's not, yeah, there you go, it's not too close. On the other side of this is a room identical to this one in dimensions. However, it's furnished differently because it is a child care facility. Now, a real quick aside about this before I walk in. They recently introduced carpets into Minecraft, right? And you can make colored wool into carpets. And I've always had this sort of desire to make a tiled landscape that's got pink and light blue, just sort of as, you know, something fantastic. I meant to convert one of the auxiliary modules into an entertainment facility that had like a bunch of colorful structures and a floor that looked like this. So I figured, you know, I'm making a childcare facility, and you know the traditional colors for children are going to be like pink for girls and then blue for boys. So I figured I'm going to make a checkerboard of this, and here it is. In this facility, once again, there aren't really any features. The only feature here is a dormitory that has bunk beds. Bunk beds, in addition to being the absolute coolest thing ever, are something that I recently discovered you could make. I originally thought that you can only place beds on blocks, and I thought that when in a lot of cases, like for example, if you destroy the block under this carpet, the carpet tile will drop and you'll be able to collect it. Like, the carpet tile will not exist above just empty space. However, the beds, while they cannot be placed on empty space, they will remain once the block is removed, and so you can actually make bunk beds by placing blocks, placing a bed on them, and then removing the blocks and placing a bed underneath. I personally find it to be very nifty, and I figured this is as good a use of them as any. Okay, this facility right here is the fungal garden. As the name suggests, it is a garden that's filled with mushrooms. Now, filled may be an exaggeration because space is at a premium on a starship. Still think it's pretty large, and it's nice and picturesque once again. Large mushrooms, staple of fantasy. Nice place to come and relax. And then the sister room to this one is the Arboretum. The Arboretum, again, as the name suggests, lots of trees. And then here I'm going to make some benches and maybe a little flower garden. In the fungal garden itself, I'm going to do something similar, except it'll be benches and smaller versions of mushrooms. Okay, and then the final feature of the Aurora is the Aurora Lounge. So, if any of you have ever seen Star Trek The Next Generation, you're probably familiar with the facility known as 10 Forward, which is in the forward section of Deck 10. 10 Forward is the Enterprise D's bar. Like, it's just a big bar. You go there, you drink, you socialize, you enjoy yourself. There is an actual bar where you can get drinks and food. Guinan, played by Whoopi Goldberg, tends the bar. And I figured, while the Nova class vessel is more of a scout and probably wouldn't have any of like the childcare facilities or that many crew quarters, I figured, you know, I've got room to work with, so why not? So I built this. I have Aurora written in big black letters on the red carpet. I've got the bar. I have another jukebox here with another full set of music. Once again, you can play music here, and it'll play out to a radius, I want to say, of 65 squares before it just, you can't hear it anymore. I've got 3 furnaces for cooking of meats, and I've got a crafting table for the assembly of other foods. And then here I've got 2 chests for storage of various foods, and then I've got just shelves just for show, and then bookcases also just for show. This is not yet fully furnished. I did recently build the windows, and you can actually glimpse the secondary deflector from here. But I'm gonna have tables and chairs, and it's gonna be pretty nifty when it's finished. I really, honestly, whenever I was first building the Aurora, I had no, well, I was laying out the frame, so I had an idea of how big it was going to be, but until I actually covered it in plating, I had no concept of just how vast it was going to be, like just how much room it was going to be. For comparison, the Aurora has 73 sets of crew quarters spread over 3 decks, with the top 3 decks, for the most part, as yet unused, and Deck 3 is large enough to accommodate probably another dozen or so crew quarters. Now, the Nova class in the actual Star Trek series is crewed by 80 people, so basically I've already got room enough for everyone having their own set of quarters, and in a lot of cases, the junior officers and the non-commissioned people will share quarters. So, I think mostly because I didn't have to devote a lot of room to the support structures that the actual Nova vessel had on the show, I have a lot more room to work with to build crew quarters and a lounge and all that stuff, so I think it's just the result of having more room to work with. But either way, lots of goodies on it. I will be posting more videos in the future as I work on it and as I build more rooms, as I build up the existing rooms. So you can expect future walkthroughs in the form of updates. So here I'm going to take a break, and the next videos you'll be seeing are going to be gameplay videos. Now, I have an existing world, of course. I have all these structures in the world that I'm quite proud of having built. I'm very happy with them, and I fully plan on building up more and more of them as time goes on. However, I also thoroughly enjoy the thrill of playing a fresh game, so to enjoy the best of both worlds, I am going to set sail in an adventure to a distant land across one of the oceans here in the game. And I'm going to set sail with nothing but the clothing on my back. I'm going to leave my armor, I'm going to leave my equipment, I'm going to leave everything and just make a wooden boat, crash it and let the pieces fall where they may, and start fresh. I will be calling the series Terra Incognita, and it will span over several episodes of just gameplay, starting off from scratch and building up a compound, building up relations with, well, not relations, but building up perhaps neighboring villages if I happen upon them. So you will see that in future videos. Right, that said, I thank you very much for listening, and once again for bearing with my various tangents. And I genuinely hope that you enjoyed what you've seen so far. If you did, don't hesitate to subscribe to my channel. I will be posting updates as regularly as I can. And while I'm playing the Terra Incognita game, I will not be posting updates, of course, and I will not be working on my existing structures. However, after I come back, I expect to be reinvigorated by my absence from this place, and I expect to be able to put some good work into either Sky Crown or the Aurora or my nether compounds or any number of things. Alright, once again, thank you very much for listening, and I will see you all when I cast away in the next video. Thank you, and y'all have a good one.